Welcome to Japanese Sleep Whispers, your sanctuary for peaceful nights and gentle dreams. Here, you will find calming bedtime stories inspired by the timeless beauty and traditions of Japan. Each story is read slowly in a soothing voice, accompanied by natural sounds such as flowing rivers and the tranquil rhythm of shishi-odoshi. Whether you seek relaxation, relief from stress, or help falling asleep, these tales invite you to drift away into a world of serenity. Imagine quiet temples, moonlit gardens, and the whispering bamboo forests as you listen. If you'd like these soothing stories to be part of your nightly routine, consider subscribing so they're always with you when you need them. Subscribe and let these stories be your nightly ritual of calm and rest. Thank you for being here. May you always find peace in every moment. Sunlight through the temple trees. Prologue. The road beneath the morning mist. The dawn came softly to the mountains. A thin veil of mist rested over the fields, and the world seemed to breathe slowly, as if it too had just awakened. Along a narrow path lined with cedar trees, a lone traveler walked in silence. His straw sandals whispered against the earth, his wide-brimmed hat catching the pale light of the rising sun. He carried a small pack upon his back, nothing more than a rolled sleeping mat, a cup, and a worn journal bound with thread. Each step was deliberate, unhurried, as though he had long ago forgotten what it meant to hurry. In that quiet hour between night and day, he was neither young nor old, neither rich nor poor. He was simply a soul moving through the land of Edo, guided by the sound of wind through the trees. The traveler's name was not important. Some called him Ren, others called him the Wanderer of the Eastern Road. But he himself had ceased to use names long ago. For him, the journey itself was enough. He paused beside a river, where the mist hung low over the water. The surface shimmered like silver silk, and from somewhere far upstream came the faint call of a heron. Ren cupped his hands, filled them with cool water, and drank slowly. The taste was pure and clear, like mountain air turned to liquid. As he sat upon a rock, the world around him seemed to hold its breath. The trees whispered in the language of leaves, the river murmured, and a bell sounded faintly from a distant temple. That sound drifted through the mist like a memory, a call from somewhere beyond the present moment. It was the sound that would lead him forward. Ren closed his eyes. He felt the warmth of the rising sun upon his face. He listened not for words, but for silence itself. And in that silence, he began to walk again, following the unseen path that curved toward the mountains and the temple beyond. The road stretched endlessly, bending and disappearing into the fog. And somewhere ahead, sunlight touched the tips of temple trees. There, the journey was waiting. Chapter 1: The Temple by the River. By midday, the mist had lifted. The sun now glowed gently upon the land, turning the world to shades of gold and green. Ren followed the sound of flowing water until the path opened to a clearing. There, nestled beside a slow and shimmering river, stood a small temple. The temple was old, its roof covered in moss, its wooden beams weathered by countless seasons. But it did not seem decayed, it seemed alive, as though time itself had chosen to rest there. The entrance gate leaned slightly, and beside it grew a tree of great age, a zelkova with branches that curved like open arms. Ren removed his sandals and stepped quietly across the worn stones. Each step made a faint sound, almost like a whisper of welcome. Inside the courtyard, he could hear the distant dripping of water from a bamboo pipe into a stone basin. The air smelled faintly of incense and wet wood. An elderly monk appeared at the doorway. His robe was simple, the color of river sand. He bowed, his eyes gentle and clear. Ren bowed in return. "Welcome, traveler," said the monk. "You have come a long way. Will you rest a while?" Ren nodded. "Only if it is no trouble." "Here, nothing is trouble," the monk replied, smiling faintly. He led Ren to a shaded veranda overlooking the river. There, a pot of tea waited as though it had been expecting him. They sat together in silence. The tea steamed softly between them, and dragonflies hovered above the water. For a long while, neither spoke. The only sounds were the rustle of leaves and the soft knock of bamboo against stone. Finally, the monk said, "You walk with quiet steps. Most travelers hurry past without seeing the river at all." Ren smiled faintly. "I have nowhere I must reach." The monk nodded. "Then you are already here." Ren looked out at the flowing water. "Do you live here alone?" "There are 3 of us," the monk said. "But the others are in the fields today. The rice is nearly ready for harvest. When the sun sets, they will return, and we will light the evening lamps." Ren nodded again, watching the water flow past. It carried fallen leaves and glimmers of sunlight, both moving together toward the sea. He found himself breathing slower, deeper. The monk poured tea into his cup. "This tea is from the mountain behind the temple," he said. "It grows in mist and shade. The flavor is quiet, like rain on bamboo." Ren lifted the cup, inhaling the faint scent. When he drank, the warmth seemed to travel through him like sunlight beneath the skin. He felt the weight of his journey fall away, little by little, replaced by a kind of stillness he had almost forgotten. "Rest here tonight," said the monk. "The river will sing you to sleep." Ren hesitated. "I would not wish to intrude." The monk shook his head. "In this place, there are no intruders. Only travelers who have not yet remembered that they belong." As evening descended, the air grew cool. The sky turned violet, and the sound of crickets rose from the grass. The monks returned from the fields carrying bundles of rice straw, their laughter low and contented. They lit small oil lamps along the veranda, and the temple glowed like a lantern floating in the dusk. Ren was given a place to rest near the veranda. From his mat, he could see the river shimmering beyond the trees. The night deepened, and the sound of the bamboo pipe marked the passing of time. Somewhere in the dark, a bell rang once low and gentle. It echoed through the trees, across the water, into the folds of his dreams. Ren closed his eyes. He did not think of where he had been, nor where he would go. Only the present moment existed, the quiet breath of the earth, the warmth of tea, the sound of water in the night. And as he drifted into sleep, he thought he heard the whisper of sunlight through temple trees. Chapter 2: The Sound of Bamboo and Rain. Morning came softly, wrapped in clouds. The world had lost its edges, every sound was round, gentle, and near. From the veranda of the temple, Ren watched the first drops of rain fall upon the river. They made small circles that spread outward, overlapping like ripples of thought. The monks moved quietly through the corridors, lighting incense, sweeping water from the floorboards. Somewhere deeper within the temple, a wooden gong sounded 3 slow tones, marking the beginning of the new day. Ren sat with his legs folded beneath him, his hands resting lightly upon his knees. He did not know whether he was meditating or simply breathing, but it felt the same. The rain fell steadily. It whispered against the roof tiles, trickled down the mossy walls, and gathered in the stone basin below. The bamboo pipe overflowed, spilling a stream that splashed in time with the rhythm of the rain. Ren closed his eyes. Each sound became a part of the same song: the rain, the bamboo, the distant murmur of the river. He could not tell where one ended and another began. It was all the same breath of the earth. After some time, the old monk returned, carrying a small wooden tray with 2 bowls of rice gruel and pickled plum. He set it down and smiled. "The rain will keep us here today. The path beyond the temple becomes muddy when it rains. Better to stay and listen." Ren smiled in return. Perhaps the rain wishes for company. The monk laughed softly. "Yes. Rain is a kind friend. It visits slowly, leaves gently, and nourishes everything in silence. They ate together, saying little. The warm rice softened the chill that had crept into Ren's hands. Outside, the rain thickened, and mist rose from the ground like breath from the earth itself. After the meal, the monk handed Ren a broom. "Would you help me sweep the walkway? The rain falls, but the leaves still gather." Ren nodded, taking the broom. Together they swept the stone path, though the rain quickly replaced whatever they cleared. It became less a task and more a meditation, each motion smooth, circular, and complete. The sound of the broom brushing against wet stone blended with the steady patter of rain. "Do you sweep often?" Ren asked. "Every morning," said the monk. "And yet the leaves always return. Then the work is never done." The monk smiled. "That is why it is peaceful." Ren thought about that as he swept. The act of clearing only to begin again, the rhythm of it, the humility. Perhaps this was what the world itself was doing, falling, cleansing, beginning again. When the sweeping was done, they stood beneath the eaves, watching the curtain of rain. The forest beyond the temple seemed endless, the tall bamboo swaying like slow waves. Drops fell from leaf to leaf, each one ringing a delicate note before vanishing into the soil. The monk spoke softly, almost to himself. "There was a time when I thought I would find enlightenment in the great mountains of the north. I walked for years, chasing silence. But one day, I realized silence was not hiding there, it was here, in the sound of rain." Ren nodded slowly. "I think I understand. The rain speaks the same language everywhere." The monk looked at him, his eyes bright. "Then you are close." A faint wind stirred, shaking the bamboo. The sound deepened, a low, hollow note, like a drum made of green wood. Ren stepped closer to the edge of the veranda, watching how the stalks bent but did not break. Each movement was slow, graceful, and yielding. He remembered something his teacher had once said: "Long a gothe rigid tree breaks in the storm, but the bamboo bows and rises again." Ren wondered if his own heart could do the same. Hours passed without measure. The rain softened to a mist, then grew strong again, then faded once more. The temple seemed to float between sky and earth, held by the gentle persistence of water. At noon, the monk invited Ren to walk with him through the bamboo grove behind the temple. They carried small straw hats against the drizzle. The path wound between tall green stalks that rose higher than a man's reach. The air was cool, and each breath smelled of wet earth and the sweetness of new shoots. They walked slowly, their footsteps cushioned by fallen leaves. Rain tapped gently upon the bamboo, 1,000 soft drums echoing in perfect rhythm. Sometimes the wind would move through the grove, and the stalks would sway together, whispering secrets only they could understand. Ren felt something inside him loosen. The sound filled his chest, not as noise but as calm. It was as if his heart were remembering a song it had known before birth. The monk paused by a small stone statue half hidden by moss. It was a Jizo, its round face wet with rain, smiling faintly as though amused by kind. Someone had placed a small red cloth around its neck, bright against the green world. Ren knelt and brushed away a few fallen leaves from its feet. The monk bowed deeply, his palms together. "For travelers," he said softly. "For those who walk in rain and light." Ren bowed as well. "Then he has watched me longer than I knew." They stood together for a while, listening. The rain had become finer now, almost invisible. Tiny drops hung from the tips of bamboo leaves, trembling but not falling. The monk said, "When I was younger, I tried to understand the teachings of the Buddha as if they were words. But now, I think they are more like this rain falling on bamboo. There is no meaning to explain, only a rhythm to feel." Ren smiled. "Then perhaps the world is reciting a sutra even now." "Yes," the monk whispered. "And we are only echoes." The two continued their walk until the forest opened to a small clearing where a pond lay like a mirror. Raindrops danced upon its surface, breaking it into circles that faded, then formed again. The monk sat upon a stone and motioned for Ren to join him. "Listen," he said. "Do you hear the spaces between the drops?" Ren tilted his head. Between the gentle drips, there was indeed a kind of silence, soft, deep, full of breath. It was not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness. The monk continued, "That is where the heart rests. Between one drop and the next." Ren closed his eyes. He listened to that space, to that pulse of quiet. And in that stillness, he felt something awaken, not excitement, not clarity, but a deep acceptance. The kind that does not need answers. When they returned to the temple, the rain had lessened to a faint drizzle. Mist clung to the trees, and sunlight began to break through in thin, golden threads. Ren stood once more at the veranda, watching the droplets slide from the edge of the roof. The monk bowed to him. "Tomorrow, the sky will be clear. You will continue your road." Ren hesitated. "And you? Will you stay here always?" The monk smiled. "The temple is my road. Each morning, I walk it again from gate to bell." Ren bowed deeply. "Thank you," he said simply. "For the tea, and for the rain." The monk nodded. The road is not yours or mine. It belongs to the silence that walks beside you. That night, the rain stopped completely. The moon rose pale and whole above the river. Ren lay awake for a while, listening to the faint drip from the eaves, the final drops saying goodbye to the day. He thought of the bamboo bending in the storm, the laughter of the monk, the still pond reflecting falling rain. And in that quiet, he felt his heart bow and rise again. Sleep came slowly, like the mist returning to the mountains. When it finally reached him, it carried the soft rhythm of rain. Chapter 3: The Old Tea House. The morning after the rain was clear and tender. Mist lingered in the folds of the hills, yet the sky above was a soft, endless blue. The world seemed newly washed, leaves gleamed, stones glistened, and every blade of grass held a single droplet like a tiny jewel. Ren left the temple at dawn. The monks had already begun their morning chants, their voices rolling gently through the valley like low clouds. He bowed at the gate before stepping back onto the road. The air was cool, fragrant with pine and earth. As he walked, he felt the ground spring lightly beneath his feet. Every sound, the call of a cuckoo, the rustle of unseen wings, seemed sharper and more vivid after the rain. His straw sandals left faint prints in the soft soil, quickly erased by the wind. By midday, the path began to climb. He followed it up a narrow pass that wound between green slopes, where wild azaleas bloomed in the cracks of stone. The sunlight flickered through shifting branches, dappling his path with gold and shadow. At the crest of the hill, the road curved around a bend, and there he saw it, a small tea house, half hidden by a grove of maples. Its roof was thatched, its walls dark with age. A thin ribbon of smoke curled from the chimney, and the faint scent of roasted tea drifted through the air. Ren paused, breathing it in. It smelled like warmth, like home, though he had not known such a thing in years. He stepped closer, and the old wooden sign creaked gently in the wind. The characters upon it were worn but still legible: Cha no Yu, the House of Quiet Tea. He smiled. "Quiet tea," he murmured. "The best kind." A bell tinkled softly as he slid open the door. Inside, the air was cool and dim, filled with the fragrance of tatami and smoke. An old woman looked up from behind the counter. Her hair was silver, coiled neatly beneath a cloth, and her smile was calm as sunlight on still water. "Welcome, traveler," she said. "You've chosen a fine day to walk." Ren bowed. "And a fine place to rest." She gestured toward a low table by the window. "Sit, and I'll bring you tea. The rain makes the leaves taste sweeter." Ren sat down. The wooden floor creaked softly beneath him, and outside, the wind stirred the maple branches. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting shifting patterns upon the floor like waves of gold moving across the wood. After a moment, the old woman returned with a tray. Upon it were 2 small cups, a teapot of unglazed clay, and a plate of roasted rice cakes. She poured slowly, her hands steady despite their age. Steam rose from the cups in delicate curls, carrying a faint aroma of grass and smoke. Wren lifted the cup and inhaled. The scent was deep, like the earth after rain. He took a sip, and warmth flowed through him, gentle and slow. The taste lingered, a blend of bitterness and sweetness, perfectly balanced. The woman smiled. "It's from the hills nearby. My husband planted those tea bushes when I was still young. He said the leaves from this mountain hold the sound of the wind." Wren nodded, looking out the window. "Then I can hear it in every sip." She laughed softly. "He would have liked you." For a while, they sat in silence. Outside, a butterfly drifted through the sunlight, landing upon a maple leaf. The air was filled with the faint creak of wood and the distant murmur of a stream somewhere below. Wren set down his cup. "You must have seen many travelers on this road." The woman nodded. "Yes, though fewer these days. The world changes, but the mountains do not hurry. Sometimes I think the tea house remembers them, all the faces, the stories. They stay here longer than their footprints." Wren smiled faintly. "Then perhaps mine will rest here too, for a while." The woman studied him with kind eyes. "You carry the look of someone who listens more than he speaks." "I find silence tells me more," Wren replied. She poured him another cup. "Then this house will suit you well." As the afternoon unfolded, the light shifted slowly across the room. The smell of tea leaves drying above the hearth mingled with the faint scent of smoke. Wren felt the stillness wrap around him like a warm cloth. He did not wish to move. A young girl entered from the back room, perhaps the woman's granddaughter. She carried a bundle of fresh herbs and greeted Wren with a shy smile. Her hands were stained green from gathering leaves. "Would you like some mountain herbs in your tea?" she asked softly. Wren nodded. "If you recommend it." She nodded seriously, as though entrusted with a secret art. She placed a few leaves into his cup, and the scent changed brighter now, with a hint of citrus and wild mint. "It's called kawakusa," the old woman explained. "It grows only near the streams. It cools the body and clears the mind." Wren sipped, and a fresh clarity bloomed through him. The world seemed sharper, more present, the hum of insects, the glimmer of dust motes in the sunbeam, the slow rhythm of his own heartbeat. He closed his eyes and said, "This tea tastes like water that has remembered the mountain." The woman smiled. "You speak like a monk." "Perhaps I once was," Ren said. "Or perhaps I only dreamed it." They all laughed softly, the sound blending with the wind. Later, when the sun dipped low, the old woman lit a small oil lamp. Its light shimmered upon the walls, making the shadows dance like faint spirits. The girl began to hum a simple melody as she swept the floor, her voice light as wind through reeds. Ren watched, feeling as though he were outside of time. Each sound, each movement seemed perfectly placed, perfectly unhurried. Even the crackle of the fire felt intentional, a soft punctuation in the language of peace. As night approached, the woman prepared a bed of straw mats in a small room. "You may stay here tonight," she said. "The mountain roads are dangerous after sunset. In this house, only the wind keeps watch." Ren bowed deeply. "You are kind. Not kindness," she said, smiling. "Just the way of tea to offer warmth where there is none." Before sleeping, Ren stepped outside. The sky above the tea house was scattered with stars, sharp and clear. The maples rustled softly in the night breeze. From the valley below came the faint murmur of water, eternal and calm. He sat upon the porch, his cup beside him, watching the reflection of starlight upon the rim. The scent of tea still clung to his sleeves. He thought of the road ahead, the villages, the rivers, the temples yet unseen. But for now, there was only the present, the warmth in his chest, the hush of the night, the soft sigh of wind through the trees. The girl's song drifted faintly from within the tea house, a lullaby about seasons passing and flowers returning. Ren listened until his thoughts grew as light as smoke, and his eyes slowly closed. When he finally lay down, the world seemed to breathe with him. Each inhale carried the scent of tea, each exhale the whisper of peace. Sleep came gently, like a kind hand resting upon his brow. And as he drifted into dreams, he thought once more of sunlight shimmering softly through the temple trees. Chapter 4: Fireflies by the Water. The days grew longer as Ren continued his journey eastward. The air thickened with warmth, and the mountains shimmered in the haze of midsummer. Villages appeared now and then, their roofs glinting like shells in the sun. Children played in the fields, their laughter carrying across the rice paddies like birdsong. By evening, Ren reached the banks of a broad river. The water moved slowly, reflecting the fading gold of the sky. He could see small boats tied to wooden posts, rocking gently with the current. Somewhere downstream, a temple bell rang its tone soft, distant, and endless. Wren set down his pack beneath a willow tree. The branches hung low, touching the surface of the water. He removed his sandals and stepped into the shallows. The cool water lapped at his ankles, washing away the dust of the road. The world was still. Only the quiet rustle of reeds and the low hum of insects filled the air. The light deepened, and the first stars began to appear small and trembling, like the eyes of night opening one by one. As Wren sat upon a smooth rock, a faint green glow flickered at the edge of the reeds. Then another, and another. Within moments, the riverbank was alive with tiny lights, rising and falling like sparks of breath. Fireflies. They drifted through the air in slow, wandering circles. Their light pulsed softly, as though the night itself were breathing. Each glow lasted only a moment, yet the darkness never fully returned between them. It was as if the world itself remembered the light even after it vanished. Wren watched, mesmerized. He felt time loosen around him. The past, the present, the distance between all seemed to dissolve in that gentle rhythm of illumination. He whispered to himself, "Even the briefest light leaves its reflection." A soft voice answered from nearby. "Beautiful, aren't they?" Wren turned. A young man stood beside the river, carrying a small lantern. He wore a plain robe, the hem damp from the grass, and his expression was calm, almost wistful. Wren bowed lightly. "I didn't hear you approach." The man smiled. "That's because the fireflies hide your steps. They love travelers who walk softly." Wren smiled back. "Then I must be among friends." The man sat down beside him. "You've come far, haven't you?" "I suppose I have," Wren said. "Though I've stopped counting the miles." "That's the best way to travel," the man said. "When you stop counting, the road begins to walk with you." They sat together in silence for a while. The river flowed past, the fireflies drifting above it like stars come down to rest. Now and then, one would land upon the surface of the water, its glow reflected and multiplied before fading into the current. Wren asked, "Do they always come here?" "Every summer," the man said. "They're drawn to this river. Some say they are the souls of the departed, those who still have something left to remember." Wren looked out at the glowing field. "Then the night is full of memory." "Yes," said the man softly. "Each light, a heartbeat from another time." A warm breeze passed over them, carrying the scent of water lilies and wet grass. Wren closed his eyes, letting the moment settle deep within him. The air hummed with quiet life, the buzzing of cicadas, the murmur of the river, the soft pulse of light around him. After some time, the man spoke again. When I was a child, I used to catch fireflies in my hands. I thought if I held them long enough, I could keep the light. But they always flew away, leaving only the warmth behind. Ren nodded. Perhaps that is what light wishes to be seen, not kept. The man smiled. You understand. They both watched as two fireflies rose together, their lights weaving like threads in the air before vanishing into the dark. Ren thought of the people he had met, the monk at the temple, the woman at the tea house. The countless faces that had crossed his path and faded like these tiny lights. He realized that none of them were lost, they had simply become part of the river of time flowing through him. He said softly, "We're all fireflies, aren't we, drifting for a while, glowing when the night allows." The man nodded. And then the wind carries us onward. For a while, neither spoke. The fireflies' glow seemed to move in rhythm with their breathing. The river made a slow sound, eternal and kind. Eventually, the man rose, brushing dew from his robe. "I live in the village across the bridge," he said. "There's a small shrine there. You're welcome to rest if you wish." Ren shook his head gently. "Thank you, but I'll sleep by the water tonight. The night feels alive here." The man smiled knowingly. "Then let it keep you company." He turned to leave, his lantern bobbing with each step, its warm light fading into the trees. Ren remained by the river. He lay upon the grass, looking up at the stars. The fireflies drifted above him, tiny constellations moving through the air. He could not tell where the stars ended and the fireflies began. They all belonged to the same sky. He reached out a hand, and one of the glowing creatures settled upon his palm. Its light pulsed faintly, reflecting in his eyes. He watched it for a long time before it rose again and vanished into the night. Ren whispered, "Go on. Shine while you can." The river answered with a quiet sigh. Somewhere downstream, a frog called once, then fell silent. The night returned to stillness. Ren's thoughts drifted like the current. He remembered the rain upon the bamboo, the warmth of tea, the bell at dawn, the long road before him. Each memory glowed briefly, then faded, leaving only a deep peace behind. The air cooled. Dew gathered upon the grass, and the fireflies began to disappear, one by one, until only the stars remained. Ren lay still, his breath slow and even. The faint sound of water was his lullaby, the rhythm of the river matching the rhythm of his heart. He thought, just before sleep took him, that perhaps the fireflies did not vanish at all. Perhaps they simply became the dreams of those who watched them. And as his eyes closed, a final light flickered above him, a small echo of eternity, soft, trembling, and enough. Chapter 5: The Path Through Autumn Leaves. The season had turned. The air, once heavy with the scent of rain and grass, was now cool and thin. The mountains wore their autumn robes, crimson, amber, and gold, like a silent celebration of time itself. Wren walked slowly along a forest path carpeted with fallen leaves. Each step made a soft rustling sound, as though the earth were whispering beneath his feet. He carried no map, no destination, only the rhythm of his breath, the steady pulse of the road. Above him, the trees swayed gently, releasing leaves that drifted like fragments of sunlight returning to the ground. He paused often, watching the way they fell. Each leaf seemed to move with its own quiet intention, its own surrender. The sky was pale blue, brushed with thin clouds that stretched like threads of silk. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell rang its tone deep, carrying through the cool air. Wren stopped to listen. The sound lingered long after the bell itself had fallen silent, echoing through his chest. He thought of all the bells he had heard on his journey, each one a reminder that time was passing, that moments were falling like leaves. Yet he felt no sadness. There was a gentle beauty in the way everything changed and disappeared, leaving behind only stillness. By midday, he reached a small ridge where the path opened to a sweeping view of the valley below. A river shimmered there, winding through fields of gold. Smoke rose from the chimneys of a distant village, twisting upward before dissolving into the sky. Wren sat upon a stone and opened his pack. Inside was a small piece of dried rice cake, wrapped in paper, and a cup made of bamboo. He poured a little water from his gourd, letting the reflection of the trees ripple across its surface. As he ate, the wind rose, carrying the faint scent of burning wood and persimmons drying in the sun. It smelled like endings, sweet, quiet, inevitable. He smiled faintly to himself. The world changes its colors so easily, he murmured. Perhaps the heart should learn to do the same. A voice came from behind him. It does, if you let it. Wren turned. An old man stood on the path, wearing a faded blue robe and carrying a bundle of twigs over his shoulder. His face was lined with years, but his eyes shone with a calm light, like autumn sunlight on still water. Wren bowed. "Good day." The man nodded. "You're a traveler. Few pass through here when the winds grow cold." "I follow the seasons," Wren said. "They seem to know where to go." The man chuckled softly. "Then you are wiser than most." He set down his bundle and sat upon a nearby rock. "The mountain is beautiful today, isn't it? The trees burn without smoke." Wren looked out across the valley. "Yes. It feels like the world is exhaling." The man nodded. Soon the snows will come. Everything will rest again. They sat together in companionable silence, the kind that needs no explanation. A gust of wind sent a flurry of red leaves swirling around them, catching the sunlight as they fell. Wren reached out and caught one. It was fragile and thin, its edges curled inward like a closing hand. He turned it gently between his fingers. The old man said, "That leaf was once the color of spring." Everything carries its past within it, even as it falls. Wren looked at the leaf again. Then perhaps falling is not the end. It is only returning. The man smiled. Yes. The tree does not mourn what it lets go. Wren placed the leaf upon a stone. The wind lifted it again, carrying it away until it vanished among the others. After a while, the old man stood. "I must return to my hut before dusk. You're welcome to join me if you seek shelter." Wren shook his head gently. "Thank you, but I'll stay with the mountain a little longer." The man bowed slightly. "Then may the road carry you kindly." He lifted his bundle and disappeared among the trees, his footsteps soft upon the leaves. Wren remained there, listening until even the sound of the man's passing was gone. Then he lay back upon the ground, watching the canopy above. Leaves drifted down one by one, some landing upon his chest, some upon his face. He did not brush them away. Each one felt like a small blessing from the earth, a quiet acknowledgement of his journey. As the afternoon light faded, the forest began to glow. The sun, sinking low, set the leaves ablaze in hues of gold and flame. Wren felt as though he were lying within the heart of a lantern. The air cooled further, carrying the faint hum of insects and the distant cry of a crow returning to its roost. A single ray of sunlight filtered through the branches and fell across Wren's closed eyes. He breathed deeply, the scent of dry leaves and pine filling his lungs. He thought of the people he had met along the way, the monk by the river, the woman at the tea house, the stranger among the fireflies. Each had appeared, spoken gently, and moved on. Each had left behind something unseen, like footprints that fade but never truly vanish. He whispered to the wind, "Perhaps we are all leaves falling when it is time, yet carried kindly by the air." The wind answered by lifting the leaves around him into motion once more. They swirled above his head, rising and falling like breath. The forest seemed to sigh. Wren stayed there until twilight deepened. Then he rose, brushed the leaves from his robe, and continued down the path. The sky turned rose, then indigo. A thin crescent moon appeared above the trees, following him like a lantern of silver. When he reached the base of the mountain, he found a small stream. The water was clear and cold, and stones glimmered beneath its surface. He knelt, cupped his hands, and drank. The taste was sharp and pure autumn distilled into liquid. As he drank, he saw a single red leaf float past, caught in the current. It spun once, twice, then vanished downstream. Ren watched until it disappeared. Then he whispered, "Go where the river carries you." He sat beside the stream until the stars began to appear, bright and near. The forest grew silent except for the occasional rustle of falling leaves. The air was still, the world waiting. Ren closed his eyes, feeling the cool earth beneath him, the slow rhythm of his heartbeat. He breathed out, long and soft, as if he too were a leaf surrendering to the air. And when sleep came, it was like the first snow falling upon autumn leaves, quiet, complete, and kind. Chapter 6: Snow at the Mountain Temple. The first snow came quietly, like a sigh from the heavens. At dawn, the world was already white. Every branch, every stone, every step of the road was softened beneath a delicate blanket of snow. Ren walked slowly through the mountain pass. His breath hung in the cold air, rising and fading with each exhale. The sound of his footsteps was the only thing that disturbed the silence, soft, rhythmic, and soon swallowed by the snow. He had been walking for many days. Villages had grown rare, the paths narrower. Even the birds had fallen silent, as though the world had decided to rest. At the turn of the path, he saw a small temple perched upon a ridge, its roof heavy with snow. A narrow stairway of stone led upward, winding through tall pines whose branches drooped under the weight of winter. Ren paused at the base of the steps. A faint ringing reached his ears, the slow, measured tone of a bell. It sounded as though it came not from the temple itself, but from the very heart of the mountain. He began to climb. Each step was slow and deliberate, his sandals crunching softly against the snow. The higher he went, the deeper the silence became, until it felt as if the world around him was holding its breath. When he reached the top, the temple stood before him modest, wooden, serene. Lanterns hung under the eaves, their flames trembling gently in the cold wind. A thin trail of smoke rose from the temple's chimney, twisting upward into the gray sky. Ren bowed at the gate before stepping inside. The courtyard was empty save for a single monk sweeping snow from the stone path. The monk looked up and smiled, his face framed by the white world around him. "Welcome, traveler," he said. "Few climb this far in winter." Ren bowed. The mountain called, and I followed. The monk's smile deepened. "Then you were meant to arrive." He set aside his broom. "Come. The fire is warm." Inside the temple, the air smelled faintly of pine and incense. A small hearth burned in the corner, its flame slow and steady. Ren removed his sandals and knelt beside it, feeling the warmth seep into his chilled hands. The monk poured tea from a black iron kettle. The steam rose, carrying with it the faint scent of roasted barley. Ren accepted the cup with gratitude. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the soft sound of wind against the wooden walls filled the silence. Finally, the monk said, "The snow came early this year. The mountain sleeps sooner than usual." Ren nodded. Perhaps it is tired of carrying the seasons. The monk chuckled softly. Or perhaps it simply wishes to dream. They drank their tea in silence. Outside, snow continued to fall, each flake moving slowly, deliberately, as though it too were meditating. Ren said, "I've walked far. I've followed rivers, forests, and fields. But here everything feels still. As if the world has stopped moving." The monk looked into the fire. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the space where all movement begins. Ren thought about this for a moment. The fire crackled softly, sending up small sparks that disappeared into the dim air. "Do you live here alone?" Ren asked. The monk nodded. "For many winters now. The villagers come only in spring to offer prayers for the harvest. But during the long months of snow, the temple keeps its own company." Ren glanced toward the altar. A bronze bell hung above it, its surface worn smooth by time. Snowflakes drifted in through the open doorway, melting silently upon the floor. He asked, "Who rings the bell I heard when I arrived?" The monk smiled faintly. "Sometimes I do. Other times, the wind does it for me." They both listened. As if on cue, a gust passed through the courtyard, and the bell gave a single, low tone, deep, soft, eternal. Ren closed his eyes. The sound seemed to move through him, dissolving the weight of his journey, the noise of thought, the sense of self. When the tone faded, the silence that followed was not empty, it was full. Full of the mountain, the snow, the stillness of everything breathing together. The monk said quietly, "That sound reminds us that nothing truly ends. Even silence is a continuation, shaped by what came before." Ren whispered, "Then death, too, is a kind of silence." The monk nodded slowly. "Yes. But silence does not mean absence. When snow falls, the earth does not disappear, it rests." Ren looked toward the doorway. Snow was falling more heavily now, thick flakes spiraling in slow, perfect motion. He could not tell where the sky ended and the mountain began. He said softly, "Perhaps the snow is the mountain's prayer." The monk smiled. "And perhaps you are the answer it waited for." They sat together until the fire burned low. Ren felt his body grow lighter, as though the snow outside was falling through him as well. At last, the monk rose. "Come," he said. "You should rest. The guest room is simple, but it will hold you kindly." Ren followed him down a narrow hallway. A paper lantern cast a warm circle of light upon the wooden floor. The room was small. A futon lay beside a paper window, through which the faint glow of snow filtered like starlight. Ren bowed. "Thank you." The monk inclined his head. "Rest deeply. The mountain watches kindly tonight." When the door slid closed, Ren lay upon the futon and exhaled. The silence of the temple wrapped around him like a blanket. Outside, the wind whispered through the pines. He could hear the bell again, distant, fading, then returning. It was impossible to tell if it was the monk, the wind, or the mountain itself ringing it. Each tone seemed slower than the last, as though time itself were falling asleep. Ren's eyes drifted shut. In his mind, he saw the path he had walked, the fireflies by the river, the leaves of autumn, the endless road of morning light. All of it seemed to gather here, within this still white world. He thought, maybe this is what the journey was for, not to arrive anywhere, but to rest completely within the present moment. A single snowflake slipped through a gap in the window and landed upon his hand. It melted instantly, leaving behind only a small trace of water, cool, fleeting, and perfect. Ren smiled faintly. "Even the snow teaches impermanence," he murmured. "And yet, how beautiful it is." The last sound he heard before sleep claimed him was the temple bell, one deep tone, echoing through the mountains, carrying his breath with it. And in that moment, as his thoughts dissolved like snow upon the earth, Ren became part of the silence. Chapter 7: The River at Dawn. The snow had begun to melt. At first, only small rivulets trickled through the cracks in the stone, but soon they gathered, joining into streams that sang softly as they ran down the mountain. Ren awoke to the sound of water. It was a gentle sound, like the mountain breathing again after a long, silent sleep. When he slid open the paper door, pale light filled the room. Outside, the world had changed. The snow still lay thick in the shadows, but patches of earth showed through, dark and damp and alive. Mist drifted between the pines, and the air smelled of thawing soil and moss. Ren stepped outside the temple gate. His breath no longer rose in clouds, the cold had softened into something kinder. Each step on the path released the faint scent of wet cedar and melting snow. The monk was already awake, sweeping the courtyard once again. He looked up and smiled. "The mountain opens its eyes," he said. Ren bowed. "And you've been watching all winter." The monk's broom paused. "It is the way of the temple to witness without asking, to care without holding." Ren nodded slowly. "I think I understand." He looked toward the valley below. A silver ribbon of water glimmered through the mist, the river he had followed in another season. It called to him now, softly, like an old friend. "I will go," he said quietly. "The road continues." The monk bowed deeply. "The road is endless, yet it always returns to the beginning. Walk gently, traveler. The world listens." Ren bowed in return, feeling both gratitude and stillness in equal measure. Then he turned toward the descending path. As he walked, the sound of the temple bell followed him once more, one final tone, fading into the morning air. The path wound down through cedar and maple, past rocks half buried in snow, past trickling streams that grew wider with every step. Ren moved slowly, his mind quiet. Each breath felt like the mountain itself breathing through him. By noon, the air had warmed. The snow gave way to soft earth, and the first signs of life appeared, tiny shoots pushing through the soil, a bird calling from the branches above. Ren stopped by a small clearing where a pool had formed. The water was clear, reflecting the sky like glass. He knelt beside it and cupped the cold water in his hands. The reflection that looked back at him was the same, and yet not. His hair was longer, his robe faded, but his eyes, they were quieter now, deeper, filled with the stillness he had gathered from the journey. He whispered, "Everything returns, but nothing is the same." A faint wind stirred, carrying with it the scent of plum blossoms from somewhere unseen. The air trembled slightly, as though the world itself were waking. By evening, Ren reached the foot of the mountain. The land opened before him, fields waiting to be sown, villages still cloaked in the last breath of winter. In the distance, the river shone under the fading light, its surface smooth and endless. He followed the sound of water until he stood upon the river bank. The same river he had seen in summer, where fireflies once danced in the dark. Now it was wide with melting snow, its current strong but gentle, like time itself, flowing steadily forward. Ren sat upon a smooth stone near the edge. The setting sun turned the surface of the water into rippled gold. He watched as small pieces of ice floated past, spinning, melting, vanishing. Each one caught the light for an instant before dissolving. Ren smiled faintly. So even the cold learns to let go. He closed his eyes and listened. The sound of the river was like breathing the same rhythm he had heard in the rain, in the wind, in the temple bell. It was the same sound that had followed him since the beginning. He realized then that it was not the river that had changed, but his way of hearing it. He could now hear the pauses between sounds, the space between notes, the silence that made the music whole. He whispered, the silence was always the song. The sky deepened into twilight. Birds crossed the horizon, their wings catching the last of the sun. The air was cool but kind, carrying the scent of water and earth and distant blossoms. Ren reached into his pack and took out a small object, a folded piece of paper he had kept since the summer, the wrapper from the tea house by the river. He unfolded it gently. Inside were a few pressed petals from that distant afternoon. They were faded now, their color pale, but the faint scent remained. He placed the paper upon the water and watched as the current took it. It floated slowly, turning once, then twice, before moving downstream past stones, past reeds, into the endlessness of flow. Ren whispered, "Carry it well." He sat until the stars appeared. The moon rose a thin silver arc, reflected in the current. The river shone softly, winding into the dark like a path made of light. Ren stood and bowed to it, as one bows to a teacher. "Thank you," he said, "for showing me how to move and how to rest." He turned to continue along the river bank. The night was clear, the stars steady and near. Each step he took was light, without destination, as if he were walking within the rhythm of the world itself. As dawn approached, mist rose from the river. The sky brightened from gray to silver, from silver to soft gold. The first birds began to sing, their voices pure and unhurried. Ren stopped and watched as sunlight touched the surface of the water. It spread slowly, warming the mist, revealing the flow beneath. The river seemed to awaken, alive with motion and light. And for a moment, Ren felt the same light rising within him, not as thought, nor as memory, but as simple being. He breathed deeply. Each breath was new. Each sound, each sight, each moment reborn. He thought of the monk's words, "Stillness is the space where all movement begins." He understood now. The stillness was not behind him, nor ahead of him, it was here, within every step, every ripple, every breath. Ren looked up at the sky, now fully awake. The sun rose above the hills, and the river blazed with gold. He smiled, quietly, to no one and to everything. The road stretched onward, and somewhere beyond the bend, the world continued. Ren walked on. The sound of the river followed him, soft, endless, and kind. Final chapter: Light through the temple trees. Ren's journey had carried him through seasons, mountains, rivers, and valleys. He had followed rain, sunlight, wind, snow, fireflies, and the gentle fall of autumn leaves. Each step, each moment, had whispered its own quiet lesson. Now, he returned to the temple where his journey had begun, the place of bamboo, rain, and early morning light. The path was familiar yet transformed. The trees seemed taller, the river wider, the air itself more aware of every breath. As he approached the temple gate, he paused. The wooden structure, moss-covered and weathered, stood serene beneath the soft glow of the rising sun. Birdsong drifted through the courtyard, delicate as a silk thread, intertwining with the faint murmur of wind through leaves. Ren bowed at the entrance. The monks, moving quietly among the halls and corridors, greeted him with gentle nods. No words were necessary, recognition passed silently between them, a knowing of shared time and space. He stepped onto the veranda. Sunlight filtered through the bamboo, casting moving patterns upon the floorboards, soft, golden lines that shifted with each passing moment. It was the same light he had seen long ago, yet somehow different, deeper, richer, as though carrying all the seasons within it. He sat quietly, letting the warmth touch his shoulders and hands. The sound of wind through the bamboo became a song once more, gentle and steady, reminding him of rain on temple roofs. Fireflies by the river, autumn leaves spiraling in silence, and snow falling at the mountain temple. Ren closed his eyes. He could feel the flow of all he had witnessed, each river, each path, each encounter with a stranger or friend. It was as if the world itself had written a story upon him, a story without words, but fully understood in the rhythm of breath and heartbeat. A bell tolled somewhere deep within the temple. One slow note, then another, the echo stretching outward like the arms of memory. Ren opened his eyes. He could see the sun shining through the bamboo, each leaf glowing as if lit from within. It was a quiet illumination, neither bright nor harsh, but tender and alive, like the life of the world itself. A soft breeze passed, lifting the edges of his robe. He remembered the monk at the mountain temple. Stillness is the space where all movement begins. And now he understood stillness and movement were one. The river flows, the wind whispers, leaves fall, fireflies shine, and yet the same quiet space enfolds them all. Ren's thoughts drifted to those he had met along the journey: the monk in the bamboo grove, the woman at the tea house, the stranger among the fireflies, the old man by the autumn path. Each had left traces, not only in his mind, but in the world itself, small ripples of kindness, awareness, and gentle guidance. He realized that everything he had encountered was part of the same river of light, carrying him back to this place, to this moment, to this understanding. The temple courtyard was still. Snow had long since melted from the stones, leaving behind moss glistening with dew. Birds flitted among the branches, their wings catching golden sunlight. The bamboo whispered as the wind passed through, and somewhere far away, a stream sang its endless song. Ren rose slowly and walked among the temple trees. His hands brushed against the smooth bamboo, the leaves rustling softly in response. He breathed in the scent of earth and wood and sunlight, letting it fill every corner of his body and mind. He paused beside the stone basin, where water reflected the sky. He knelt and cupped the clear surface, watching ripples spread outward. For a long time, he said nothing, only letting the moment be. The water held his reflection, not as it had been, not as it would be, but exactly as it was, here and now. Ren smiled faintly. He thought of all the paths he had walked, all the seasons he had seen, and realized that each had led him back to this quiet place. Not as a destination, but as a home within himself, a place where past, present, and future converge. A gentle laugh echoed from behind. He turned and saw the monks moving through the courtyard, their hands carrying incense, sweeping leaves, lighting small lanterns. Their motions were fluid, graceful, and deliberate. Ren watched them, recognizing the same rhythm he had felt in rivers, wind, snow, and fireflies. He knelt again beside the bamboo grove, placing his palms together in quiet gratitude. "The road has brought me here," he whispered. "The river has carried me home." A single leaf fell from above, drifting down to rest upon his sleeve. It was red, golden, alive with light. Ren let it remain. The leaf, like all the moments of his journey, belonged exactly where it was. The sun rose higher, streaming through the temple trees. Light poured onto the stones, the bamboo, the moss, and Ren himself. It was warm, gentle, illuminating without demand, like the memory of every soft moment, every quiet lesson, every encounter of kindness along the way. Ren closed his eyes. He could hear the faint ringing of the distant bell, the whisper of wind, the murmur of leaves, the heartbeat of the earth beneath him. All of it merged into a single, slow rhythm. He felt the flow of life, the stillness of time, the gentle pulse of existence. And he understood, fully, the journey never truly ends. The river never stops flowing, the leaves never cease falling, the sun never fails to rise, and the light through the temple trees continues forever, reaching, warming, and resting all at once. Ren rose and walked to the edge of the bamboo grove. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, scattering in golden threads upon the earth. He let his hands brush the trunks, the rustling leaves responding like whispers. He inhaled, deep and steady, and felt the world alive within him. The road stretched before him, beyond the temple, beyond the valley, yet he no longer felt the pull to move. He was home, and yet everywhere. Past, present, future all intertwined in the quiet, eternal moment. Ren sat once more upon the veranda. He watched the sun rise fully, filling the courtyard with warmth. Each breath he took became the rhythm of the earth. Each heartbeat echoed with the rivers, the wind, the snow, the fireflies, the falling leaves, and the temple bell. For the first time in a long while, he did not think of the journey, nor of its end. He only breathed. He only listened. He only existed. The light moved through the bamboo trees, shimmering across stone, leaves, and water, touching every corner of the world, and resting softly upon him. And in that light, Ren knew the journey had never been elsewhere. It had always been here. Quietly, gently, the world continued. And Ren, at last, rested in the flow. A starry night in a hidden village. Prologue: the hidden village. The evening came softly, as if the world itself had been waiting for night to arrive. A gentle breeze moved through the bamboo groves, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and distant incense. Crickets began their quiet chorus, punctuated by the occasional call of an owl from the surrounding hills. Ren, a lone traveler, had been walking along the winding roads of Edo's countryside all day. The sun had dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. His sandals left light impressions on the dirt path, fading almost immediately as he walked. At last, he glimpsed a small village, tucked between gentle hills and thick groves of pine and bamboo. Smoke curled upward from thatched roofs, rising in thin ribbons to join the fading sunlight. The houses were modest, wooden, and darkened with age, yet they seemed to glow in the evening warmth. Ren paused at the edge of the village, letting the quiet of the scene wash over him. He could hear the murmur of a stream nearby, the soft laughter of children still playing in the fields, and the distant sound of a temple bell, ringing slowly and deliberately, as if counting the moments until the night fully arrived. The road into the village was narrow, lined with stones smoothed by years of footsteps. Paper lanterns swayed gently on low posts, their flickering light reflecting in the stream. A few villagers moved quietly through the streets, carrying baskets of vegetables or bundles of firewood. They smiled briefly at him, nodding in silent welcome before disappearing into the dimming light. Ren's heart lifted. There was something timeless here, a place untouched by the bustle of Edo's busy streets. It felt like a world folded inward, a secret held gently by the hills and forests around it. He made his way to the center of the village, where a small shrine stood beneath a grove of maple trees. The shrine was simple, with a wooden torii arch marking its entrance, and a small stone basin for washing hands. The water in the basin reflected the first stars, now appearing faintly in the deepening sky. Ren knelt beside the basin, cupping the cold water in his hands. He splashed his face lightly, the chill refreshing after a long day on the road. The sky above was turning darker now, the colors fading into deep indigo, and the first stars twinkled like tiny lanterns scattered across a vast velvet canvas. He looked around, noticing how quiet the village had grown. Even the wind seemed to hush itself, moving through the leaves with a gentleness that made every sound precious. A soft rustle of paper from a sliding door. The faint creak of a wooden roof settling, the distant splash of water in the stream all became part of a delicate, natural symphony. Ren walked slowly along the narrow streets, observing the small gardens beside the houses. Radishes, cabbages, and herbs grew in neat rows, their green leaves glistening with the last drops of daylight. He imagined the hands that had tended them, careful and patient, working through the heat of summer and the chill of winter, and he felt a gentle warmth in his chest. At the edge of the village, a small tea house glimmered with lantern light. Its sliding doors were open, revealing a modest interior. An old woman sat by the hearth, tending a kettle over a gentle flame. The aroma of roasted tea leaves and dried herbs drifted through the doorway. She looked up and smiled when she saw Ren. "Welcome, traveler," she said softly. "You have walked far under the evening sky. Come in and rest." Ren bowed, stepping into the warmth. The floorboards creaked beneath his sandals, and the fire crackled, sending a gentle glow across the room. The old woman poured a cup of tea, the steam curling like soft clouds, carrying the scent of roasted leaves. He accepted it with a nod, feeling the warmth seep into his hands and then into his chest. He took a slow sip, savoring the subtle bitterness, the gentle sweetness, the calm that flowed through him. Outside, the sky darkened further, stars now countless and bright. Through the window, he could see the trees silhouetted against the night, their leaves shimmering in the soft moonlight. A gentle wind whispered through the branches, brushing lightly against the paper lanterns. Ren felt the quiet sink deep into his mind. Every thought slowed, every worry faded. He realized that here, in this hidden village, time itself seemed to pause, allowing the night, the stars, and the gentle human life around him to breathe together. The old woman returned to her hearth, humming a soft, wordless tune. Ren watched her, and in her calm, steady presence, he found the kind of peace he had been seeking. The tea cooled in his hands, but he did not rush to drink it. He simply sat, letting the warmth and the quiet wrap around him. Outside, a few fireflies began to glow faintly, drifting above the gardens and the stream, their tiny lights flickering like stars come down to visit the earth. Ren closed his eyes, listening to the faint chorus of the night, the rustle of leaves, the soft steps of villagers, the distant toll of the temple bell, the hum of insects, the flowing stream. All of it was gentle, ordered, and patient. All of it was the song of a village that had stood hidden, timeless, and kind. He thought of the stars above and the lanterns below, and realized that both shone with the same quiet purpose to remind those who traveled that even in the vast, dark world, there were places of rest, of warmth, and of peace. Ren let his body relax, leaning against the wooden beam by the window. The cup of tea rested at his side, still warm, still fragrant. The fireflies danced outside, moving slowly, deliberately, as though marking the rhythm of night itself. And in that soft, gentle world, Ren's eyes finally closed. The hidden village, the stars, the tea, the fireflies all became one gentle, breathing lullaby. The night was endless, quiet, and kind. Ren slept. Chapter 1: The Traveler's Lantern. The moon rose slowly over the hills, its pale light spilling into the narrow roads of Edo's countryside. Ren walked steadily, his sandals crunching on the gravel path, the faint sway of his lantern casting long, soft shadows. The air was cool, scented with pine, damp earth, and the faint smoke of distant hearth fires. He had left the main road behind, choosing a quieter route that meandered through bamboo groves and small clearings. The village he sought was hidden somewhere ahead, known only to those who traveled gently and observed closely. The lantern he carried was small, its flame flickering with each step, but it was enough. Enough to illuminate the path just before him, enough to reveal the edges of stones and the low roots of trees. Enough to remind him that he was not alone in the darkness. As he walked, the sky above darkened, and stars began to appear, scattered like fine dust across a deep velvet expanse. He paused for a moment, letting the lantern hang from his hand. The night was silent except for the soft sigh of the wind and the distant murmur of a stream. Ren looked up at the stars, tracing patterns with his eyes as if seeking a map. Each one seemed to pulse gently, a reminder of the vastness of the world, and yet, somehow, of its intimacy as well. He breathed slowly, feeling the rhythm of his heart align with the quiet pulse of the night. The path curved around a low hill, and Ren glimpsed a small clearing bathed in moonlight. Here, the rice paddies stretched like mirrors, reflecting the stars above. A soft mist hovered over the fields, moving gently with the wind. The sight took his breath away, and he paused again to drink in the beauty. Far off, he could see the faint glow of lanterns in the distance, small, warm lights that marked the presence of a village tucked quietly among the hills. Ren smiled faintly. The journey was long, but the destination promised calm, and the night itself seemed to guide him forward. He resumed walking, lifting his lantern higher to avoid the puddles that dotted the path. Each step was deliberate, as though he were following the rhythm of the earth itself. The crickets and frogs provided a gentle symphony, their calls blending with the whispering wind and the occasional rustle of leaves. Along the way, Ren passed a solitary pine tree, its trunk twisted and ancient. He placed a hand upon it, feeling the rough bark beneath his palm. The tree stood silently beneath the moon, a sentinel over the quiet land. He whispered a small greeting, not expecting a reply, yet feeling a connection as if the night itself had acknowledged him. As he continued, a faint sound reached his ears, the soft, rhythmic tapping of wooden clogs on a distant road. Someone else was moving through the night, careful, unhurried. Ren paused, letting his lantern's light sway gently, and he saw a figure in the distance. It was an elderly man, carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. The man nodded briefly at Ren, a gesture of mutual respect between travelers who understood the quiet of night. Ren returned the nod and continued onward, feeling the world contract around him. The path, the stars, the distant village, and the solitary travelers, they were all part of a single, gentle rhythm. Each step, each breath, each flicker of lantern flame became part of the same song. The road began to descend, and the smell of water grew stronger. A river flowed just beyond the grove of bamboo, its surface shimmering in the moonlight. Ren paused by a small footbridge, letting his lantern reflect in the water below. The reflection of the stars danced alongside it, and for a moment, the boundary between sky and earth seemed to dissolve. He knelt by the edge of the bridge, cupping a handful of cool river water. He drank slowly, savoring the purity and clarity, letting it wash away the fatigue of the day. The current whispered past him, gentle and constant, as though reminding him of the continuity of all things. Rising again, Ren continued along the river bank. The village grew closer with each step, the glow of lanterns becoming warmer, more inviting. He could hear the faint sounds of light wooden doors sliding, soft laughter, the distant toll of a temple bell. The air felt alive yet restful, filled with the quiet rhythm of human life moving in harmony with nature. Finally, he reached the first houses of the hidden village. The streets were narrow, lined with stone and moss, and the gentle glow of lanterns illuminated the edges of gardens and fences. The village felt timeless, as though it had existed in the same way for centuries. Ren lowered his lantern, letting the light mingle with the warm glow of the village. He inhaled deeply, tasting the night air scented with incense, pine, and rice straw. He felt a profound sense of peace, a reminder that the journey, though long and solitary, had led him to a place of calm and belonging. An old woman appeared at the doorway of a small tea house, bowing gently. "Welcome, traveler," she said softly. "You have walked under the stars to reach us. Come, rest, and share our quiet night." Ren nodded, smiling, and stepped forward. The warmth of the fire within the tea house embraced him, and the soft murmur of tea being poured added to the gentle symphony of the night. Outside, the stars continued to shine, mirrored in the river, the lanterns, and the quiet, attentive faces of the villagers. He closed his eyes, letting the soft rhythm of the village at night wash over him. The lantern flickered in his hand, the stars twinkled in the sky, and somewhere in the distance, a temple bell tolled slowly. Ren's body relaxed, his breath deepened, and he felt the profound serenity of a hidden village under a starry night. And for the first time that evening, he allowed himself to fully rest. Chapter 2: The Bamboo Grove at Midnight. The village had settled into a quiet slumber, its lanterns glowing softly like scattered fireflies. Ren left the tea house, careful not to disturb the night's gentle rhythm. In his hand, the small lantern flickered, casting warm light upon the narrow path ahead. He followed a trail that led toward the bamboo grove at the village's edge. The entrance was marked by 2 wooden posts, worn smooth by years of travelers' hands. As he stepped beneath the arch of bamboo, a soft rustle echoed above him. The leaves swayed gently in the wind, brushing against one another, creating a delicate, almost musical whisper. The moon rose higher, pale and serene, sending silver light through the slender trunks. The shadows danced slowly, elongating and shrinking as the breeze moved. Ren breathed deeply, feeling the cool, slightly damp air fill his lungs. Each step on the forest floor was soft, muffled by fallen leaves and the occasional bamboo shoot. The grove seemed alive, yet entirely still. Every sound was subtle: the faint creak of a trunk, the soft tap of a branch against another, the distant call of a night bird. It felt as though the bamboo were speaking in a language older than words, inviting Ren to listen, to slow his mind, to let the rhythm of the night guide him. He walked slowly, letting his lantern hang from his wrist, swinging gently with each step. The light revealed the textures of the grove: rough bark, smooth leaves, moss growing in shaded patches. Moonlight filtered through the dense bamboo, creating patterns on the path that shifted with the wind. Ren paused beside a small clearing where the moonlight pooled upon the ground. Here, the bamboo opened slightly, allowing him to see the distant hills and the faint shimmer of the river beyond. He knelt, brushing his fingers against the moss and soil, feeling the quiet pulse of life beneath the forest. A gentle breeze stirred, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. The rustling leaves seemed to form a soft melody, a lullaby of the night. Ren closed his eyes and let the sound wash over him. Every breath became slower, every heartbeat quieter, until he felt himself part of the grove's rhythm. Far in the distance, a fox barked once, startling the silence for a moment. Then the grove returned to its delicate balance. Ren opened his eyes, noticing how the moonlight highlighted each slender bamboo, how the shadows swayed, and how even the smallest movements felt intentional, as if the forest itself were breathing. He continued deeper into the grove. The path wound gently, narrowing in some places, widening in others. Occasionally, he saw small animals, rabbits or birds, moving quietly, observing him before slipping away into the darkness. Each encounter reminded him of the gentle attentiveness required to move through the night respectfully. Ren reached a small stone lantern, moss-covered and leaning slightly. Its presence suggested that others had walked this path before him, seeking the same quiet, the same communion with night and nature. He knelt beside it, placing his hands on the cool stone. For a moment, he let himself be still, imagining the lives of travelers long past, their footsteps echoing softly through time, mingling with his own. The wind stirred again, moving through the bamboo like a slow, deliberate wave. Ren lifted his face to the sky, letting the silver light of the moon touch him. The stars were scattered above, countless and quiet, mirroring the lanterns below, creating a sense of infinite depth both above and around him. He walked further, coming upon a small clearing where the bamboo opened to reveal a pond. The surface was perfectly still, reflecting the moon, stars, and surrounding bamboo with mirror-like clarity. Ren knelt at the water's edge, dipping a hand into the cool surface. Ripples spread outward, distorting the reflected light, then fading back into calmness. He felt the connection between his touch, the water, and the larger rhythm of the grove. A few fireflies appeared, flickering softly over the pond. Their gentle light added to the quiet luminescence of the moon and stars. Ren sat on a smooth stone, watching their movements, noticing the way each one paused and flickered, as though marking the slow passage of time. The grove seemed to embrace him. The bamboo, the moon, the wind, the water, and the fireflies all moved in harmony. Ren closed his eyes, allowing the gentle symphony to sink deep into his heart. He felt a sense of timelessness, a quiet thread connecting the present to all moments past and those yet to come. He thought of the village below, of the villagers resting in their homes, and realized that this hidden grove, untouched by hurry or noise, had existed for centuries, a secret sanctuary for those who listened, who moved carefully, who embraced the rhythm of nature. The night deepened, and a soft mist rose from the pond, swirling around the bamboo. Ren could feel the moisture on his skin, cool and refreshing, grounding him in the moment. Every sound, wind, water, leaf was a gentle reminder of the continuity of life. A lullaby meant not for sleep alone, but for the quieting of the mind. He stood slowly, feeling the soft earth beneath his feet. The lantern in his hand flickered as the wind passed, casting shifting light upon the grove and the path ahead. Ren began to walk back toward the village, each step slow, deliberate, attentive. As he left the bamboo grove, he looked back one last time. The moonlight lingered between the trunks, the stars reflected in the pond, and a gentle rustling seemed to follow him, a quiet farewell from the forest. Returning to the village, he saw the lights of the tea house once more. Its warm glow promised comfort and rest, yet Ren felt the calm of the grove still within him. He understood that the peace he had found among the bamboo would remain, a quiet rhythm he could carry with him through the rest of his journey. He returned to the tea house, settling by the fire. The warmth embraced him, and the soft hum of night, the wind, the river, the distant bell, the village life continued outside. Ren closed his eyes, letting the bamboo grove's memory enfold him. And as he drifted towards sleep, he felt the harmony of the night in every breath, every heartbeat, and every flicker of light. Chapter 3: The River and the Lantern Festival. The morning after the night in the bamboo grove dawned quietly, with a thin mist rising from the river. Ren awoke to the gentle sound of roosters crowing in the distance and the steady rhythm of water flowing through the canals of the hidden village. He sat by the tea-house window, sipping a cup of warm barley tea, and watched the sunlight spill softly across the garden. Outside, villagers were already beginning to gather near the river bank. Children carried small wooden frames wrapped in paper, their laughter light and musical. Older villagers moved with calm, deliberate gestures, painting calligraphy on paper lanterns or tying cords around them. It was the day of the Lantern Festival, a celebration held once a year to honor ancestors, to give thanks, and to let go of the burdens carried through the passing seasons. Ren finished his tea, placed the cup down carefully, and stepped outside. The air was fragrant with the scent of rice straw and river reeds, warmed by the gentle sun. He followed the winding road toward the river, where the villagers were preparing for the evening. Along the banks, stalls had been set up, simple wooden tables with offerings of sweet dumplings, grilled fish, and fresh fruits. The voices of the villagers blended with the flowing water, creating a music that was both lively and soothing. Ren smiled, bowing politely as he passed. Everywhere he looked, there was care in the smallest details: paper lanterns painted with mountains, cranes, chrysanthemums, and the flowing kanji for peace. A young girl approached him shyly, holding a small lantern painted with a single golden star. "Would you like to make one, traveler?" she asked, her eyes bright. Ren smiled. "If it would not trouble you." She handed him a blank lantern and a small brush dipped in ink. Nearby, a low table had been set out with sheets of paper and bowls of glowing candles. Ren knelt on the straw mat, took the brush, and paused for a long moment. He thought of the long roads he had walked, of the temples and mountains, of the soft rain and falling snow, and of the quiet faces of those who had offered him kindness along the way. Slowly, he wrote a single character: Hikari Hikari light. The ink absorbed into the paper, soft and steady, as if sinking into time itself. When he finished, he bowed his head slightly, offering a silent prayer to the river and to the stars. The girl smiled approvingly. "That's a good word," she said softly. "It will float well tonight." By sunset, the village had transformed. Lanterns lined the streets and bridges, casting a warm, golden glow across the water. The air carried the scent of incense and cedar smoke, and the sound of flutes and taiko drums began to rise in slow, rhythmic waves. Ren walked among the villagers, the festival unfolding around him in a calm and joyful harmony. Elderly couples strolled hand in hand, children chased each other with sparklers that hissed like whispers of rain, and everywhere laughter echoed softly, blending into the hum of the night. As darkness deepened, the villagers gathered by the river. The moon hung low, round and silver, and the stars appeared once more, countless and clear. Ren stood among them, holding his lantern carefully. Its paper shimmered faintly, the character for light glowing softly in the candle's warmth. The village elder raised his hands. His voice, deep and slow, carried across the crowd. Tonight, we release our lanterns to honor those who came before, to thank the river that nourishes our lives, and to remember that even the smallest light can travel far. A hush fell over the gathering. Then, one by one, the villagers knelt at the river's edge, setting their lanterns gently upon the surface. The current caught them, carrying them slowly downstream. Hundreds of tiny flames floated upon the water, forming a river of gold. Ren knelt as well, lowering his lantern to the current. For a brief moment, the reflection of the candle flame mingled with the stars above. The river, the sky, the fire, and the heart, everything was connected. He watched his lantern drift, joining the others, their lights shimmering together in the gentle current. The villagers began to hum a simple melody, low and wordless. It was a song older than memory, one that rose and fell like breathing, echoing the pulse of the river itself. Ren closed his eyes and listened. The hum became part of the night, the sound of hearts aligned with nature's flow. He felt a warmth within his chest, a release, as though some long-held burden had been set adrift along with his lantern. The night deepened further. The sky grew dense with stars, their reflections merging with the river of lights below. Ren found himself unable to tell where the earth ended and the heavens began. The world had become one vast sea of shining points, each lantern, each star, each soul quietly glowing. An old monk approached, carrying no lantern of his own. He stood beside Ren, his gaze fixed upon the drifting lights. "Beautiful, isn't it?" the monk said, his voice barely above a whisper. Ren nodded. "Yes, it feels as if the stars themselves have come to rest upon the river." The monk smiled faintly. "Or perhaps," he said, "the river has always been the reflection of the stars within us." Ren looked at the monk, then back at the shimmering water. The meaning of the words lingered in him like incense smoke, subtle but deeply fragrant. He bowed slightly. "Thank you." The monk nodded, returning the gesture, and walked slowly back toward the village, his robes brushing softly against the grass. Ren remained by the river long after the villagers had gone to sleep. The lanterns continued their slow drift downstream, their flames steady and bright. He sat on the river bank, listening to the water, the crickets, and the faint rustle of the wind through the reeds. In that stillness, he felt time dissolve. There was no past, no future, only the quiet present, illuminated by small lights that moved gently toward the unseen horizon. The word light on his lantern flickered one last time before fading into the distance. Ren smiled, his heart full and still. He understood now that the journey was not merely along the roads of Edo, but through the quiet spaces between moments, the pauses where meaning lived. Above him, the stars continued their silent vigil. Below, the river carried its cargo of dreams. And somewhere in between, Ren breathed deeply, finding peace in the endless flow of night. Chapter 4: Fireflies and the Old Shrine. The summer night arrived with a gentle warmth, carrying the soft scent of wildflowers and freshly watered fields. Ren left the village, lantern in hand, following a narrow path that led toward the hills beyond. Crickets chirped in harmonious rhythm, blending with the occasional splash of frogs from distant ponds. He walked slowly, allowing the world around him to unfold without haste. The path twisted through rice paddies, their leaves whispering in the wind, reflecting silver under the moonlight. Every step was deliberate, every breath aligned with the quiet pulse of nature. Ahead, a faint glow appeared among the trees, tiny, flickering lights, delicate as stars fallen to earth. Ren paused, recognizing them immediately. Fireflies. They danced above the grass and reeds, drifting slowly, tracing paths invisible yet luminous. He knelt to watch them, letting the soft, intermittent light illuminate his face. The lantern in his hand was now almost unnecessary. The fireflies themselves lit his path. He followed their subtle glow, feeling as though they were guiding him toward some secret place known only to the night. The path grew narrower as he entered a grove of old oaks and maples. There, hidden beneath thick moss and climbing ivy, stood a small shrine. Its wooden torii was weathered, the paint long faded, yet it exuded a quiet dignity. Stone lanterns, cracked and moss-covered, flanked the entrance, and a small basin of clear water reflected the scattered moonlight. Ren approached slowly, bowing his head before the shrine. The fireflies hovered around him, their tiny lights like delicate incense rising in the darkness. He knelt at the basin, cupping the cool water in his hands, and let it trickle through his fingers. The sound was soft, rhythmic, soothing. He could feel centuries of prayers lingering in the air, quiet and patient, untouched by time. The shrine seemed alive with memory of villagers long gone, of rituals performed under the same moon, of hands that had carved each stone, tied each rope, and lit each lantern over countless years. Ren closed his eyes, breathing in slowly. The fireflies flickered in and out of his vision, as if blinking in harmony with his heartbeat. He whispered a small prayer, not for himself, but for the countless souls who had come before him. For the travelers who had walked these paths, for the villagers who had tended the shrine, for the life that continued quietly, persistently, night after night. The wind stirred, moving the leaves above him in a gentle sigh. He felt the pulse of the earth beneath his knees, steady and enduring. The shrine, the fireflies, the wind, and the river of night, they were one continuous breath. Ren felt himself dissolve into this rhythm, small and yet entirely part of the whole. Time seemed to stretch. The moonlight deepened, casting long, shifting shadows across the stones. A lone owl called from a distant branch, and the sound seemed to echo through the trees, carrying a sense of wisdom, patience, and gentle watchfulness. Ren rose slowly, placing his hands together in quiet reverence. He noticed a single lantern that had fallen beside the shrine, its candle long extinguished. Carefully, he lifted it, placing it upright, and with a match from his pouch, relit the flame. The small light flickered, warm and steady, joining the scattered fireflies in a soft chorus of glow. He sat upon a nearby stone, watching the tiny lights dance across the grass and leaves. The fireflies moved in arcs, pauses, and patterns, creating a rhythm as intricate and gentle as the human heart. Ren felt a profound peace settle over him. This was not merely a spectacle of nature, but a conversation between the night, the earth, and those who truly listened. Minutes passed, then hours, though time itself seemed irrelevant. The sounds of the night, the rustle of leaves, the trickle of distant water. The soft hum of insects blended seamlessly with the visual music of the fireflies and lanterns. Ren's mind quieted, each thought dissolving like morning mist under the sun. He remembered the words of the monk at the village: stillness is the space where all movement begins. And here, in the soft glow of the shrine, he finally understood the depth of that wisdom. Movement and stillness, light and shadow, presence and absence, all were part of the same gentle flow. Ren leaned back against the stone, letting the warmth of the lantern and the fireflies seep into his skin. He closed his eyes, listening to the faint hum of life around him, and felt a wave of gratitude wash through him. For the journey, for the village, for the forest, for the river, for the stars, for the lanterns, for the fireflies, all woven together into this single, quiet night. A cool breeze brushed his cheeks, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and summer flowers. Ren smiled faintly, feeling the simple, profound truth of existence. Life, like the fireflies, is fleeting. Delicate, luminous, and meant to be appreciated in its quiet, gentle presence. He rose slowly, taking one last look at the shrine, the lanterns, and the fireflies drifting into the night. With careful steps, he returned to the path, the village lights now visible in the distance, and carried the calm of the old shrine within him like a soft, glowing ember. The summer night continued to breathe around him, endless, gentle, and kind. Ren walked on, guided by stars, lanterns, and the quiet rhythm of the world. Chapter 5: Morning Mist and the Mountain Path. The first light of morning brushed gently across the hills, turning the mist into a soft veil of silver. Ren awoke at the tea house just before dawn, the cool air carrying the scent of wet earth and pine. The village was still quiet, with only the faint rustle of leaves and the distant sound of a flowing stream. He stepped outside, lantern in hand, though the faint glow of dawn was enough to guide him. The path to the mountains stretched ahead, winding through rice paddies and groves of bamboo that were still veiled in mist. Each step was soft, cushioned by dew-soaked earth, and each breath brought the crisp, fresh scent of morning. Birdsong began slowly, tentative at first, then growing richer as the sun lifted higher. A single heron took flight from the pond, its wings cutting silently through the fog. Ren paused to watch, feeling the peaceful rhythm of life unfolding around him. The mountain path, steep and narrow, called him upward, inviting him into the embrace of the hills. Mist clung to the ground, wrapping each tree, stone, and blade of grass in gentle obscurity. It softened the world, muffling sound, blurring edges, and turning the familiar into something magical. Ren walked slowly, allowing the world to reveal itself gradually. The crunch of gravel beneath his sandals, the drip of dew from bamboo leaves, the distant murmur of waterfalls all formed a gentle symphony of morning. Small flowers peeked through the mist, delicate and unassuming wild violets, bellflowers, and tiny white blossoms along the path. Ren knelt for a moment to observe them, feeling the cool moisture on his fingertips. Each petal, each drop of dew, Each subtle movement of a leaf reminded him of the quiet miracles that existed in every day, if one took the time to notice. The path became steeper as he entered the higher hills. The mist shifted with the wind, forming soft curtains that parted and closed as if breathing. From between the trees, glimpses of the village below appeared, rooftops still bathed in silver fog, smoke curling slowly from chimneys, lanterns faintly glowing as the last night's fires dwindled. Ren took a deep breath, feeling both the distance traveled and the closeness of home in that quiet panorama. A narrow stream ran alongside the path, its water clear and lively. Ren knelt to wash his hands and face, feeling the freshness flow into him. The sound of water over stone was like a gentle chant, timeless and constant, grounding him in the present. He listened to its rhythm, letting it align with his own heartbeat. As the sun rose, its golden light pierced through the mist, creating silver and amber threads that danced across the landscape. The bamboo, the pines, the wildflowers all were touched by this light, revealing textures and colors Ren had not noticed before. He paused frequently, letting the warmth of the morning sun mingle with the coolness of the mist. Every inhalation seemed to fill him with the quiet energy of the hills, every exhalation releasing fatigue, worry, and tension. Halfway up the mountain, he reached a small clearing where a single stone lantern stood. Moss covered its base, and its carved surface was worn with age. The light of dawn touched it delicately, casting long shadows across the dew-soaked ground. Ren knelt, placing a hand lightly upon the lantern. He felt the centuries of sunlight, rain, and mist that had touched this stone, a quiet testimony to the passage of time and the constancy of nature. Birds moved through the treetops, calling softly to one another, and the scent of pine sap mingled with the earthy aroma of wet soil. A gentle wind stirred, carrying with it the faint whispers of the trees. Ren closed his eyes, listening to the subtle music of the morning, the trickle of the stream, the rustle of leaves, the distant cries of birds, and the whispering of the wind. The path curved higher still, leading into a bamboo grove at the mountain's slope. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating patterns of gold and green on the soft earth. Ren walked slowly, careful with each step, feeling the softness of moss beneath his sandals. The grove seemed alive, every leaf and branch moving with intention, every shadow holding stillness. He paused by a cluster of wildflowers near a rock outcrop. The petals glistened with dew, and the faint hum of insects could be heard, a gentle accompaniment to the wind. Ren knelt and traced a finger along the leaves, marveling at their simplicity and beauty. Each drop of dew, each petal, each movement seemed to carry the quiet wisdom of the mountain. As he climbed higher, he looked back down toward the village. The mist had begun to lift, revealing the tiled rooftops, the winding river, and the fields that stretched toward the horizon. The world below glimmered in morning light, serene and still. Ren felt a deep sense of connection not only to the land but to the countless generations who had walked these paths before him. Finally, he reached a small plateau where the mountain opened to a view of the distant hills and valleys. The morning sun now fully illuminated the landscape, casting a warm, gentle light that made the leaves sparkle and the river shine like silver. Ren sat on a smooth rock, closing his eyes, letting the rhythm of the mountain, the wind, and the river fill him. Here, in the quiet of the morning, he understood the journey was not only about distance traveled, but about moments like this, small, luminous, and profoundly connected to life itself. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat was part of a greater harmony. Ren opened his eyes, watching the mist dissolve entirely as the day fully awakened. He smiled faintly, feeling the calm of the mountain infuse him, a quiet energy he could carry forward on the road ahead. The morning was endless, patient, and kind, and he walked on, each step guided by the rhythm of the earth, the water, and the wind. Chapter 6: Autumn Leaves and the Hidden Temple. The mountains had changed. Where summer had been green and vibrant, now the hills were painted in amber, crimson, and gold. Ren walked along a narrow path lined with maple and ginkgo trees, their leaves drifting slowly to the earth. Each step upon the fallen leaves released a soft, satisfying rustle, as though the forest itself were sighing with contentment. The morning air was crisp and cool, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. Ren adjusted the strap of his satchel and looked ahead, where the outline of an old temple appeared through the thinning mist. It was a place few travelers saw, hidden in a quiet valley beyond the winding mountain paths. Its wooden roof was weathered and darkened by centuries of rain and sun, and moss clung to its stones like gentle memories. Ren paused at the base of a small bridge that crossed a narrow stream. The water glimmered with the reflection of autumn leaves, swirling softly in the current. He bent down to touch the cool water, letting it slip through his fingers, feeling the timeless flow of the river beneath. The sound was gentle, musical, a lullaby for both body and spirit. As he crossed the bridge, he noticed the delicate arch of the temple gate. Its torii was small and unadorned, yet it exuded quiet dignity. Ren stopped to bow, acknowledging the centuries of devotion and care that had passed through this place. The wind stirred, and leaves fell slowly around him, brushing his sleeves and the top of his head. The temple courtyard was covered in a blanket of red and gold leaves, their edges crisp with the first chill of autumn. The air was still, punctuated only by the occasional creak of wooden beams settling or the distant caw of a crow. Ren moved quietly, his sandals crunching softly over the foliage, each step an offering to the serenity of the space. He approached the main hall, its doors open to reveal a dim interior illuminated by morning light filtering through wooden lattices. Inside, the scent of incense lingered faintly, mingling with the earthy aroma of tatami mats and polished wood. Ren knelt before the altar, placing his hands gently on his knees, and allowed himself a long, deep breath. Here, in this quiet temple, time seemed to slow, stretching each moment into a meditation. A monk appeared, moving silently across the hall, carrying a small bowl of water. He placed it beside the altar with a soft clink and nodded at Ren, a gesture of welcome without words. Ren returned the bow, feeling the presence of calm and gentle awareness that the monk radiated. He rose and stepped outside again, following a narrow path around the temple grounds. The trees overhead glimmered with autumn light, their leaves flickering like tiny flames in the soft breeze. He paused beside a small stone lantern, observing the moss that had claimed its base over decades. The beauty was simple, patient, and enduring. Ren felt a deep gratitude for the quiet rhythm of life, mirrored here in stone, wood, and leaf. A small garden lay beyond the temple walls, its design subtle yet harmonious. Rocks were placed with care, moss softened the ground, and a shallow pond reflected the surrounding foliage with perfect clarity. Ren knelt beside the water, letting his fingertips touch the surface, creating ripples that shimmered with red, gold, and green. He watched the leaves drift across the pond, carried gently by the current, as if guided by an invisible hand. The sun rose higher, scattering light through the branches, highlighting the texture of bark, the softness of moss, and the gentle curve of each fallen leaf. Ren walked slowly, letting each step be deliberate, mindful of the sounds, scents, and colors surrounding him. A faint breeze carried the sound of distant temple bells, their echoes stretching across the valley. A slow, deep cadence that harmonized with the rhythm of his breath. He paused beside a small wooden bench beneath a maple tree, sitting and letting the cool air brush his face. The leaves above shimmered, some still green, some bright red, all moving gently with the wind. Ren closed his eyes, listening to the subtle symphony of autumn. The rustle of leaves, the murmur of water, the call of distant birds, and the faint hum of insects preparing for the coming cold. He reflected on the journey that had led him here, from starry nights in hidden villages to bamboo groves. At midnight, from lantern festivals to fireflies in sacred groves, and from morning mists to the mountain paths. Each moment, each experience, was a thread woven into the tapestry of his understanding, a quiet meditation on the beauty of presence and observation. A single leaf drifted down, landing softly on the edge of the pond. Ren smiled faintly, seeing it as a symbol of impermanence and continuity, the cycle of life that moved unceasingly yet with grace. He whispered a silent prayer of thanks, feeling the weight of the seasons and the peace of the temple settle deep into his chest. As the day advanced, he wandered among the temple's ancient trees, letting the light, sound, and scent of autumn fill him. The world seemed both alive and perfectly still, a balance he had sought in each step of his journey. He understood now that serenity was not something to be found elsewhere. It was already present, waiting for attention and care. Ren sat once more by the pond, watching the water and the drifting leaves, feeling the gentle pull of the river of life. He closed his eyes, listening to the temple bell, the soft wind, and the distant rustle of the forest. All of it was a lullaby, slow, steady, and full of quiet grace. And in that moment, surrounded by autumn leaves and the hidden temple, Ren allowed himself to simply be breathing, observing, resting, and becoming part of the enduring, luminous rhythm of the world. Chapter 7: Winter Snow and the Silent Garden. The mountains were silent under a blanket of snow. Ren arrived at the temple early in the morning, his breath forming soft clouds in the frigid air. The village below was still asleep, the rooftops dusted in white, and the river reduced to gentle whispers beneath a thin layer of ice. He stepped lightly onto the snow-covered path, each footprint leaving a perfect imprint before being muffled by the soft falling flakes. The world was hushed, every sound dampened by the winter's embrace. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the faint scent of pine and cold earth. The temple stood solemn and quiet, its dark wooden beams contrasting with the pristine white snow. Icicles hung delicately from the eaves, glinting in the pale winter sunlight. Ren paused at the torii gate, bowing his head to honor the place that had stood through countless winters. Inside the temple garden, the snow lay thick upon the rocks, moss, and small shrubs. The pond was frozen in some places, while in others, a thin layer of water reflected the sky and snow-laden branches. Wren walked slowly, careful not to disturb the natural arrangement of leaves and snow. Each step was deliberate, a meditation in movement. A soft breeze stirred, causing snow to fall gently from the trees like tiny diamonds drifting to the ground. Wren held out his hands, letting the flakes land softly on his palms, melting quickly, leaving only cool moisture. He closed his eyes, feeling the quiet pulse of the garden, the gentle rhythm of snow falling, and the subtle music of winter air moving through the branches. He approached a small stone lantern, its top capped with snow, the carved patterns partially hidden beneath the white layer. Wren knelt beside it, tracing the edges of the carvings with a gloved finger. It had weathered centuries of seasons, and now winter's touch gave it a quiet, serene dignity. The silence was profound, yet it was alive. He could hear the soft creak of the temple roof, the distant whistle of wind through pines, and the occasional tap of snow settling on stone. Every sound was sharp, clear, and intentional, a reminder of the subtleties of presence. Wren walked toward the pond, where a thin mist hovered above the water, giving the frozen surface a mystical glow. A few hardy birds hopped along the icy edges, their feathers puffed against the cold. He knelt by the edge, letting his reflection mingle with the silver and white landscape. The stillness of the water mirrored the stillness of his mind, each ripple disappearing almost instantly, leaving only calm. A small path led him to a secluded corner of the garden, where a tiny shrine rested beneath a pine. The snow had fallen in layers on the roof, and icicles hung delicately, catching the faint sunlight. Wren lit a small candle from his pouch, placing it before the shrine. The flame flickered in the crisp air, small but unwavering, a symbol of warmth and persistence in the cold world. He sat on a nearby stone, breathing slowly, letting the warmth of the candle seep into his chest. Outside, the snow continued to fall softly, brushing branches, roofs, and the frozen pond. Wren felt as though the world had been transformed into a white cocoon, protecting and holding him gently. His thoughts drifted to the villagers, the lantern festival, the fireflies, the bamboo groves, and the autumn leaves. Every memory was vivid, yet softened by the lens of winter, as if the snow had wrapped each moment in gentle stillness. He understood that the journey had led him here, not to escape the world, but to perceive it more deeply, to feel its rhythm, its silence, and its subtle warmth. A soft crunch echoed nearby. Wren turned to see a fox stepping lightly through the snow, its fur thick and warm. The animal paused, looking at him with quiet curiosity, then continued along the path, leaving small paw prints behind. Ren smiled, sensing the harmony of life in even the smallest encounters. He rose slowly, walking through the silent garden, observing how each stone, each branch, each snow-covered leaf seemed to exist perfectly in place. The sun climbed higher, scattering silver light across the landscape, making each snowflake sparkle like a tiny star. Ren felt a deep calm settle into his bones, a sense of completeness and quiet gratitude. He returned to the temple hall, kneeling briefly to place a small bow to the altar. Inside, the warmth was subtle but comforting, and the incense burned gently, mingling with the faint scent of snow brought in on his clothing. Ren closed his eyes, feeling the stillness and purity of winter infuse every part of him. Outside, the snow continued to fall, relentless yet delicate, transforming the world into a white sanctuary. Ren walked once more through the garden, letting each step be mindful, absorbing the quiet, the light, and the serene rhythm of the season. Every breath became a meditation, every heartbeat a quiet affirmation of life's beauty and calm. The temple, the snow, the silent garden, and Ren himself became one, connected through stillness, observation, and gentle awareness. The world was soft, endless, and kind. And in the heart of winter, Ren finally felt the profound serenity that had guided him through every season, every path, and every night. Chapter 8 Epilogue The Traveler's Rest. The snow had melted. Spring had returned to the hidden village, washing the earth in soft greens and tender blossoms. The river that had slept beneath the ice now murmured again, carrying the first petals of plum and cherry downstream. Ren walked along the familiar path that led to the village. It had been nearly a year since he had first arrived then, a weary traveler searching for shelter beneath the stars. Now, he returned not as a wanderer lost upon the road, but as one who had come to understand the rhythm of stillness. The music of seasons, and the gentle voice of the earth. The villagers welcomed him with quiet smiles. The same tea house stood at the corner, its wooden sign swaying lightly in the wind. The scent of roasted barley and miso soup drifted through the air, comforting and nostalgic. Ren bowed politely as the tea house keeper recognized him. "Welcome back, traveler," she said with a warm smile. "The same room is waiting for you." He thanked her softly and stepped inside. The room was simple: a tatami mat, a low table, and a sliding paper door opening onto the garden. Outside, young shoots of bamboo swayed gently, and the first dragonflies of the season darted above the pond. Ren placed his satchel down, feeling a quiet sense of homecoming, though he had no home but the road itself. After tea, he wandered through the village once more. Children laughed near the river bank, chasing each other beneath the blooming cherry trees. Elderly men sat together, repairing fishing nets, their conversation slow and steady, like the current of time itself. Everything seemed both new and eternal. As the sun began to set, the villagers prepared for the evening festival. It was the same festival of lanterns that had filled the river with light the previous year, the same celebration of gratitude, remembrance, and gentle release. Ren found himself standing by the river bank again, lantern in hand. He looked down at its paper sides, painted simply with a single character sheen kokora heart. He smiled at the choice. It felt right after all. The journey had not been of distance but of the heart's quiet unfolding. The sky darkened, filling with the deep indigo of twilight. Lanterns lined the water's edge, their flames flickering like whispers. Villagers gathered once more, their faces illuminated by the glow, eyes filled with quiet joy. The village elder stepped forward, his voice slow and calm. "Tonight, we honor not only the spirits of those who came before, but also the seasons that carry us through time, and the travelers who remind us that peace is not found by seeking, it is found by seeing." The villagers bowed their heads, and one by one, placed their lanterns upon the river. Ren followed, lowering his lantern into the water. The candle's flame trembled, then steadied, reflecting perfectly on the surface. The river caught it, and the light began its journey downstream. A soft wind stirred. Cherry petals fell upon the water, mingling with the floating lights. The air was filled with the scent of blossoms and the quiet hum of night insects. The moon rose, pale and serene, watching over the world below. Ren stood still, watching the lights drift away. He could feel the heartbeat of the earth beneath his feet, the quiet connection between river and sky, between lantern and star, between the seen and unseen. Everything was one great, breathing silence. A young boy tugged at his sleeve. "Traveler," he said, "where will you go next?" Ren smiled, crouching to meet the boy's eyes. "Perhaps nowhere," he said softly. "Or perhaps everywhere. Sometimes the journey is not about finding new places but about seeing the same place with new eyes." The boy thought about that, then nodded, his face glowing in the lantern light. Ren placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and stood again, watching as the river carried the lights beyond the bend. Later that night, after the laughter and songs had faded, Ren returned to the garden behind the tea house. The moonlight shone upon the pond, and a chorus of frogs sang softly among the reeds. He sat on the veranda, a cup of tea steaming gently beside him, and gazed up at the night sky. The stars were the same as they had been the first night he came here, vast, eternal, and kind. Yet something had changed. The stars no longer seemed distant, they felt close, reflected not only in the water, but within his heart. He thought of the bamboo grove at midnight, the fireflies at the old shrine, the morning mists on the mountain, the crimson leaves at the temple, the snow in the silent garden, each a chapter in the same quiet story, each a breath in the long exhale of life. Ren closed his eyes, breathing deeply. The night wrapped around him like a gentle blanket, and for the first time, he understood the full meaning of rest, not merely the stilling of the body, but the quiet peace that comes when the heart no longer searches, because it has already arrived. The soft wind carried the sound of the river through the village. Lanterns floated far downstream now, their lights dimming, merging with the stars above. Ren smiled faintly, his hand resting on the wooden floor beside him. He whispered a final prayer of gratitude to the land, the people, the seasons, and the stars. Then he lay down, the cool night air brushing his face, and drifted slowly into sleep. Accompanied by the murmur of the river, the hum of crickets, and the silent, eternal song of the stars. The village slept peacefully. The world breathed gently. And in that quiet harmony, Ren's journey found its perfect rest.